What is up, YouTube? Zach here from Spearos Kitchen, and today I've got another breakdown tutorial for you guys. I'm going to be breaking down this nice mutton snapper that I got out spearfishing off my kayak the other day. So I did not get the best shot on it, and that's something that if you spearfish from time to time, you're not going to get the best shot on fish. In this particular one, I shot him pretty broadside and it ended up tearing out, and then I had to go recover him down in the rocks. Took about 10 or 15 minutes to find him. We're still going to break him down. You're going to see here some of the fillet is going to be messed up, but like I said, that's something that happens from time to time. And I actually don't have the clip of this one, so we're just going to jump right into the cuts. All right, so our fish is bled, gutted, scaled, all that good stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take off this left side fillet. So I'm going to come in behind the pec fin right here and go up towards the head. And then we've already got a big hole right here, so I'm just going to come straight down there, and that's going to be our collar piece. And then I'm just going to outline the fish, and because we've got some separation here, it's going to be a little more difficult, but we're still going to do it like we normally would. And I don't want to go in too deep, just kind of getting it set up. And then once you get down to this part, come straight through the tail. And then we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Just outline them. So then we're just going to come down right towards the center spine, just trying to get as much of this fillet as possible. Like I said, going to be a little bit difficult given how this one's set up, but we'll see. And anything that comes off, any of these little bits of meat, I'm going to save because we're going to use that for some sushi. If you get hung up here at all, just take a serrated knife and cut down. And then once you get to that backbone, it's going to look kind of like this. And you want to go over the backbone, that center spine, with your knife, and then come down a little bit on the other side, angling your knife this way just so you can get as much of that meat on the other side as possible. And we're going to go back and scrape this entire backbone and get every last little bit. So again, you know, it's good to get a great fillet. Obviously, that's the main goal here. But if you miss some things, don't worry, because we're going to come back and make sure we get everything. And for this one, I'm going to go over the rib cage. So even though we got a bad shot on this, because we bled the fish, because we handled it properly, came home, iced it down and everything, I think this looks pretty good. Obviously, there's a clear tear there, but just because you get a bad shot doesn't mean you're going to completely disrupt that meat quality. And I think this is a prime example of this. So I'm going to put this aside, and then we're going to take off the ribs. So for this, I'm going to use just a serrated knife. This isn't super sharp or anything, but I just don't want to damage my fillet. And we're just going to come straight down the center spine. This is all disconnected down here. We're just holding on to the center spine right now. And the bigger your fish is, the harder this is going to be to get through. But this is an absolutely delicious piece of meat that we're going to use for some different stuff, and you can just see how white it is. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is remove this left collar here. All right, so with these, there's a little bone right here that kind of holds on to this that you need to separate. So I'm going to come in with my serrated and just try to get underneath that bone right there. You can see it's right here. Just kind of picture two bones that come together like this, and you've got to get up underneath this one so that whole thing will release, and that's pretty much what this is. And just cut up towards the head, and then once you've got it loose up there, when I gut these fish, I usually come up to about right here, pull all the guts out, cut it, and then when I come to release the collars, I'll just cut through all the way towards the actual throat. So I cut through there and release that. And then you've got some gills and stuff like that in there. We just need to release too. And at this point, it's kind of just holding on by a little bit of this stuff down here. And you just want to cut through any of that. And then that is your collar. So this is already scaled. These are great to marinate and do some different stuff with. And this is some of the most tender, juicy meat on the whole fish. So we're definitely going to be using this for some good recipes. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is just come through with a spoon here. And any of this leftover meat that's on here, I'm actually just going to scrape this off. And on the hogfish I did the other day, I actually used these scraps for the ceviche that I made. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is just flip it over and pretty much repeat that same process that we just did. This time I'm actually going to come in just from the top side, just because I've already got them facing this way, and then we'll just outline the same way. That's going to make it easier for us. And then same thing, just outline the fish. I don't think this fish is big enough to warrant taking the head off before we outline them, but in some cases I will do that. And this side didn't get messed up as bad, so this fillet should be more together. Just come through the tail, we'll flip it around and do the bottom side. And I can promise you this is not the fastest way to fillet a mutton snapper or clean a mutton snapper, but I can guarantee you that we're going to use as much of this fish as possible. I think it's definitely the most thorough way. So same thing we did on the other side, we're just going to start coming down. And same thing, we're going to go over the top of the ribs. And one thing I love about outlining the fish from the bottom side as well is once you get to this point, it's just nice and easy. Everything's just going to come right off. So this is our right fillet. Definitely looks pretty decent. So the next thing we're going to do, this belly piece is going to be a little bit bigger because I missed a little bit more of it in this cut, but we're going to cut this all the way up towards the center and remove this same way we did the other one. Maybe the scissors will be a little bit easier. All right, and these are our right ribs, and we're going to clean all this stuff up afterwards. We're just getting the pieces off right now. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is remove this right collar here, and we're going to have to release it from down here first. Just cut through that, disconnect any of the gills, and then same thing like I talked about. There's this bone right here, right behind the gill plate, and you just have to get up underneath there, and then you can cut up towards the head, disconnect any of that meat or anything that's holding on, and that is it. And we'll clean all this up here in a little bit, but this is a nice juicy color. All right, next thing, same thing as we did on the other side. We're going to take our spoon and scrape anything that was left on this backbone. And we're still going to use this backbone to make a broth for something. I'm not sure yet. But the backbone, fish frame, whatever you want to call it, is not going to be going to waste. And again, not the most amount of fish, but definitely enough to do something with. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to remove the head from the frame, and then we're just going to split this in half so it's more manageable to go into a pot. So with my serrated, if you can find that little section in between the vertebrae like I've got right here, it's just going to glide right through it. And you'll save your knife a little bit, and then I'm going to cut down through the rest of this. So that is the head. There's some other stuff on there. It looks decent. Add some flavor to the broth, and then this same kind of thing. Going to come through right there. And then this is what is going to make a delicious broth. So I'm actually going to roast the head, so I'm not going to remove, there is some meat in these cheeks, but I'm not going to remove these just because it's not the biggest fish, and I think if we try to fillet that cheek meat out of there, we're not going to get as big of a yield as I would like. So I'm actually going to roast this head, peel all the skin back, and we'll dig all that meat out and use that for something else. And then this is going to go into a fish stock as well. All right, guys, so the next thing I'm going to do is just remove the skin from this fillet here. And to do that, we're just going to come around here and get a hold of the skin and just angle it down and work our way all the way down. So this one came off nicely, and honestly, so did that one. So this skin I'm actually going to boil and remove any excess meat, and we're going to do something with this skin also, so this is not going to waste. I'm just going to fold this up so we've got that, and then we'll clean up our fillets here. I do want to remove the pin bones in here, so to do that I'm just going to come down straight down the middle to make sure we get all of that out. So that is the low loin of one fillet, and then this side, most of it looks decent, but I'm just going to split this one in half, maybe trim a little bit of this bone, then just trim off any of these other little pieces we've got. All right, and then same thing on this side. So this is the one that kind of got a little more damage in the bad shot, so I'm going to try and clean this one up as best we can. So same thing, cut down towards that skin. And this is where this one gets a little bit tricky. So I'm going to take that piece of the skin off again. I'm going to boil this, so any of this meat that comes off I'll be able to save, and then we're going to use the skin for some stuff. This is why you take good shots on fish, so you don't have to deal with this kind of stuff. But that came off really nice actually, so we're going to save this as well. Separate the high from the low. And I'm just going to split this one right here, just because it seems like the obvious spot. Trim off a little bit of this. And we've got our high loin. Alright, so next I'm just going to start cleaning up all these other pieces. So this is one of our rib sections. Just going to get any scales that might have gotten left on there off. Trim just any little pieces. This skin is fine to eat, but any of this stuff that just is hanging off, I'm just going to take off. But that is a nice rib section right there that we'll marinate and do something with. Here's our other one. This one wasn't as big, just because we took more off with the fillet on that one, but this one honestly looks pretty good to go. And then this was one of our collars. I'm just going to come in here, clip off some of this stuff. And this one looks pretty good to go. And same thing with that one. Alright guys, so this is what we are left with after breaking our fish down. We've got our 2 fillets here. Even though we did get a bad shot, they still remain pretty intact. You don't see a whole lot of red inflammation on the side of the fillets. We've got the little bit that we did scrape off of the backbone. That's going to be enough to make something good, so we'll use that there. We've got our 2 rib sections that we're going to marinate, probably grill, do something along those lines with. Then we've got our 2 collars, same kind of deal there. Not 100% sure what I want to do with those yet. I'm thinking about frying them, doing something along those lines. We've got our head and our backbone that we're going to make a stock out of. But before we do that, I'm actually going to roast the head, possibly the backbone too. That way we make sure we get all of this cheek meat out. And then we've got our skins that I'm going to dry out and do something along the lines of some fish skin and chips, maybe for a topping for a recipe or something like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. If you like this video, guys, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't checked out our website yet, spearoskitchen.com, we've got a bunch of great resources on there for the spearfishing and fishing communities. So definitely check that out. And I'm going to post the links to any of the recipes that I've got up for Mutton Snapper right now at the end of this video as well. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one.